The bar sat on the edge of town, the kind of place where the neon signs flickered just enough to make the pavement shimmer in colors that didn't belong to the night. Music hummed inside, but not loud enough to drown out the clink of glasses or the low conversations of people who came here to disappear for an hour. Cigarette haze floated in the air, softening the lights, blurring the distant corners. When the door opened, a gust of cold evening air slipped inside, carrying dust, street noise, and a man who didn't look like he was searching for trouble. He was young, maybe late 20s. Black. Fit. His jacket was simple, not flashy, but the dog tags around his neck caught the neon light long enough for the bartender to notice. A Marine. A quiet one. He walked with the posture of someone trained to read rooms quickly, eyes scanning exits, counting people, observing before settling. He didn't puff his chest. He didn't try to look dangerous. He just carried himself with a calm that only comes from surviving things most people will never understand. He took a seat near the corner of the bar, the one where no one sits unless they want to think. The bartender nodded at him, a silent greeting between two strangers who recognized each other's tiredness. "Whiskey?" the bartender asked. The Marine nodded once. That was all. The glass slid across the counter, catching reflections from the neon sign outside. He wrapped his fingers around it, letting the warmth seep into his hand. But then the room shifted. Not loudly. Not suddenly. Just enough for the Marine to feel it in his training, in his instincts, in the hairs rising slightly at the back of his neck. At the far end of the bar, four bikers sat together, broad shoulders, leather jackets stiff with age, patches worn down by years of sun and miles. They weren't cartoon villains. They weren't shouting or starting fights. They were just loud enough, just confident enough, to make the room theirs. One of them noticed the Marine first. He nudged the man beside him. A quiet laugh passed through the group. Then the glances followed, slow, lingering, curious in the way that isn't curiosity at all. The Marine kept his eyes low. He wasn't trying to challenge anybody. He just wanted a drink before heading home. But some men don't need a reason to test another man. They only need an audience. The largest biker stood up, shoulders rolling beneath his vest, boots heavy against the wooden floor. He walked toward the Marine with a confidence that seemed to tilt the room around him. The bartender froze his hand mid-polish, watching from the corner of his eye. Two men at the poker machine lowered their voices. A couple near the jukebox stopped arguing. The air thickened, like the moment before thunder. The biker stopped beside the Marine and looked down at him with a grin that wasn't friendly. "You lost, soldier boy?" The Marine didn't respond at first. He let the question rest between them, as if deciding whether it deserved an answer. "I'm not lost," he said finally, voice steady. "Just having a drink." The biker leaned in, breath carrying the weight of whiskey and ego. "We don't do quiet types in here," he said. "Not unless they're sitting where we tell them." The Marine didn't flinch. He lifted his glass, took a slow sip, and placed it back down with care. "I'm not here to make trouble." The biker smirked. "Funny. You being here already feels like trouble." Across the bar, the other bikers watched, waiting. Their posture wasn't relaxed anymore. Their eyes were sharp, hungry for something to happen. The Marine's heart didn't race. His breathing didn't change. Years of training taught him how to stay still even when surrounded by danger. He didn't rise to the bait, didn't offer a word that could escalate the moment. But the biker wanted escalation. He grabbed the Marine's collar, not violently, but firmly, enough to pull him forward an inch and send a message to everyone watching. The bartender stepped forward, but the Marine lifted one finger slightly, signaling him to stay back. The room held its breath. Every patron became a witness. Not to violence, but to possibility. To the tension that lives between pride and restraint, between provocation and maturity. Everyone knew this moment could turn into something ugly. But the Marine looked up slowly, eyes locking onto the bikers. Not with fear. Not with anger. But with a depth that made the biker hesitate. "Let go of my collar," the Marine said quietly. "Not because I'm scared. But because you don't want to know the man I used to be." There was no threat in his tone. No boast. Just truth. Truth that unsettled the biker's confidence. His grip loosened, not fully, not willingly, but enough for the Marine to sit back without force. The biker wasn't used to someone standing their ground without shouting. Without puffing their chest. Without trying to impress anyone. It confused him. "You think you're better than us?" the biker asked. "No," the Marine answered. "Just trying to be better than who I was yesterday." That line cracked something in the biker, not anger, but confusion. It wasn't the response he expected. Behind him, his friends leaned forward, unsure whether to push the moment or let it dissolve. The Marine lifted his glass again, hands steady. "When you've seen enough," he said softly, "you stop trying to prove yourself to strangers in bars." The biker stared at him, searching for weakness. For fear. For anything that would make this confrontation feel like a victory. He found nothing. Just calm. Just strength. Just a man who didn't need to raise his voice to control the room. Finally, the biker stepped back. Just a half step, but enough for the tension to shift. One of his buddies scoffed, "Let it go, man. He's not worth it." The Marine turned his eyes toward the group, not aggressively, just acknowledging them. "I hope you boys get home safe," he said. Roads can be unforgiving at night. It wasn't a threat. It was compassion. And that's what disarmed them more than anything else. The lead biker's jaw tightened. He wasn't sure whether he had just lost or learned something. Then a voice came from behind the bar. "Leave him be," the bartender said. "He's shown more respect in 2 minutes than you have all year." The biker looked around. For the first time, he realized the entire bar was watching him, not impressed, not entertained, but disappointed. He turned back to the Marine. "You got a lot of nerve," he muttered. The Marine nodded. "So do you," he replied. Just pointed in a better direction. The biker didn't answer. He walked back to his table, slower this time, less certain. His friends didn't laugh. Didn't cheer. They just stared at their drinks, the moment hanging over them like smoke. The Marine finished his whiskey. Paid his tab. Stood up. As he walked toward the exit, the bartender called after him. "You handled that with a lot of grace." The Marine paused. "Grace," he said quietly, "is what you use when strength isn't the answer." He pushed the door open and stepped into the night. Cold air hit his face. The neon reflected off the puddles as he walked away, leaving the bar behind him. Inside, the tension faded slowly. Not completely. But enough. If you had been there that night, you would remember the silence more than the words. You would remember how the room watched a confrontation dissolve not through dominance, but through restraint. And you would remember a simple truth. Some men try to show power. Others simply have it. And if stories like this make you feel something, if they remind you of the kind of strength that doesn't need fists or fury, subscribe. Because here, we tell stories where real strength is quiet, and real respect echoes long after the moment has passed.